Are you wondering what Daggerheart is? Because I'm wondering what Daggerheart is. We've got Daggerheart right here. Can I say Daggerheart one more time?
You can say Daggerheart as many times as you want. This is definitely something that's more up my alley. This is a tabletop role-playing game, but I know this is a board game focused channel. We've discussed RPGs in the past. I want to talk about why Daggerheart I think is the perfect RPG for board gamers. This is a great one. If you are debating dipping your toe into the board game world, I know that D&D 5th edition is like...
I mean into the role-playing.
To the role-playing world,
yeah.
Yes. D&D is so popular right now, but I think Daggerheart is posed to combat it and to bring in a whole new audience. First of all, let's talk about what Daggerheart is. This is from Darrington Press, which is Critical Role's publishing company. Yes. So this has a huge built-in following already of Critical Role.
Do people like Critical Role?
I've heard that it's maybe a little popular.
Never heard of them.
It's wildly popular. Designed by a guy named Spencer Stark, who did Alice is Missing, which was a famously awarded RPG, and Candela Obscura. And then Matthew Mercer worked on this game, who's a big Critical Role. So it's a lot of talent built into this game. It's designed by a combination of like RPGers and board gamers, and it's going to feel more like a board game, I think, than some other role-playing games. And that's why I have David here.
Yes,
for the board game side.
I am your conduit. If you're a board gamer who hasn't dipped your toe into RPGs, I have a little bit, but I'm right there with you. I'm going to be asking Ryan the tough questions.
So we wanted to kind of dive into what it comes with. Now, I will say this is the limited edition.
Oh, this is the
nicer version. It comes in this cool magnetic flip box. And yes, it
Always
does.
love that.
It does have character sheets. So it is kind of like a traditional RPG in that aspect, that you're going to be filling out a character sheet. But the way that you create your character and the way that you use the character is super unique to this game. And there's not a lot that you're going to have to do math-wise to fill this out. It's just like creating a character in D&D, but way more streamlined. So it comes with a huge set of those character sheets, a lot of them.
Oh, there's more in here. There's more in here.
And there's more in here than character sheets. Also, all of the kind of classes are going to get special sheets. There's maps of the world. There's quick start rules, like how to play guides that you can hand out to people.
Oh, that's nice.
So you have your player aids in here. All of this stuff is designed to kind of make it easy to jump into so that you don't have to read the rules. If you're just coming to the table, you don't have to read the rules at all.
I approve.
Somebody is. So we do have this awesome, this is the GM screen, which again, if you're going to play an RPG, but this is
nice.
Sweet, right? I mean,
so everything we see here is the foil, the deluxe edition?
The GM screen comes with the deluxe. I think you can get it by itself. Probably looks the same.
I have to say, I'm always a fan of, like I said, I don't play a lot of RPGs, but whenever I see the backside of a good GM screen, it reminds me of like a strategy guide for a video game. It's like, all this information so nicely organized.
Well, and what you're not going to see on this, and I'll put some pictures up, what you're not going to see is a ton of math equations. So I think one thing that drives people to games like this as opposed to D&D, it's not a lot of math. You're not doing a lot of complicated dice rolls, adding in all these different things. I'll talk about how that system works. And even in the rule book, which again, I have this limited edition rule book. Look at the artwork for this book, first of all.
I will say, we like a high quality production here.
I love a good high quality production.
And this one is pretty slick.
Well, if you're looking at, so the book itself is just designed to be very simple. Like you're not going to be down or bogged down with like a ton.
Well, I will say
of math charts.
Ryan's saying this as someone involved in RPGs. To me, and I'm sure to a lot of you as you're saying this doesn't look wildly different than the intimidating factor of looking at like D&D books.
But only one person needs to play, to learn the rules. And that's one thing I love about games like this. And again, it's going to all make sense in a second. But well, the game, it's more rules light than D&D. It's more about, well, we'll talk about that.
There's nothing more on the top.
There's nothing more on the top, but I need that on.
Oh, that's right. This is an interesting box.
There is something, I'm going to just move this out of the way. This comes in all versions of the game. So if you buy the regular edition, it's the book and this box, because this box is needed to play. And this is the aspect that I think will appeal more to board gamers. Oh yeah, magnetic overlay. So the game is played using these components here. Your decks of cards. These are your gems. And then your dice.
Gems?
Yeah.
Oh, there are dice. Okay.
There are still dice in the game. But what you need to play the game is a very simplified set of dice when you're doing most things in this game and you're doing things based on the gems are super nice, right?
If you play a lot of board games, you're going to be familiar with these sort of like weirdly shaped gems. You can see these in some other games, but these are big chunky ones, and they look like they come in all sort of colors. What role does do the gems serve?
The gems are trackers. So you've got in this game 2 dice that you're rolling. You have your hope die and your fear die.
Are they basically 20-siders?
They're 12-sided, or there's 12-siders. Did I grab a 20? Where's my 12? Wherever the 12-sider is. They're 12-sided dice. And you have your hope die and your fear die. And whenever you take an action and the DM is going to tell you kind of what to roll, you're rolling these. And whichever one is higher, you're either going to gain hope or you're going to give the DM fear. So you're going to be collecting these as little hope points that you can spend. And the reason why I recommend this game outside of D&D is because it's very much player driven. It's very cinematic. You're not stuck with a very specific like formula for like roll this, then add this, then do this. You're in an engagement, a conversation with the GM of like what you want to do. And it's like, I want to beat this obstacle. That's where these cards come into play. First of all, when you're making your character, and check out these limited edition ones. They're like
gold leaf.
Gold leaf. You have all of these cards. And when you create your character, you're just selecting one of every type of card. Like, what community did I come from? What is my character class? What background do I come from? So you're choosing those. Like I could be a sorcerer. I choose my elemental origin. And as these cards sit in front of you, like the Loreborn here, it says you're well read. So that's just something that you know. And then you're building a tableau of these cards. You're setting them out in front of you. And as you play the game, you'll get to a certain situation where something will happen in the game and you say, oh, well, I'm well read. Does that give me a bonus? Yeah, it does. Oh, I'm stalwart. My character says they're unwavering. Like, how does that apply to this situation?
Also spells.
And then spells, everything that you have is going to be creating this tableau in front of you. And when it comes to your turn, you don't need to have a book. You don't need to flip through 50 pages to try to find how does this work. You're literally like looking at your card and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my Loreborn skill. It says I'm well read. I'm going to remember this. And there's a ton of these cards. And this is basically how you're going to create your character. You're going to choose. You don't even need to look at the book. You literally can just pick out from the cards what you want to be, build your tableau, and then you're playing with that. And again, the rolling of the dice is pretty simple. You do have some other dice because there might be something like for a randomizer, it might say do 1d6 damage. Like, so you're still doing that, but instead of rolling a 1d20, you're rolling these 2 dice, you're adding them together. And what I love about these dice is that even if you succeed, and you might think, okay, well, 12 times 2, that's 24. Like there's, you can roll a 2 to 24, right? It's a bigger spread, but it's all about which die is higher. So even in this case, when I have an 8 and a 5, I've generated fear because my fear dice is higher. Now I know that the GM has one of these little fear tokens that they can use later to just like add something in. Like right when you think you're about to succeed, they go, well, I'm going to spend this fear token, and your worst enemy shows up. Like that kind of thing, complicating the scene. So you kind of can keep track of how bad things can be as you're watching the GM like take these fear tokens as you're taking actions. And so there's no initiative in the game. You just do whatever you want whenever you want it, and the DM reacts. That's why the DM kind of needs to know all the rules.
So the DM has to be on point.
They're on point, but I'll tell you, from running similar systems like this, like Apocalypse World, Blades in the Dark, running systems like this where the GM is more of a reaction, it's actually a lot easier because you don't need to plan a whole encounter. You're kind of doing things as they come up. Like they fail a roll. Oh, well, they fail it. What happens? You were failing an attack. Well, then you take damage. That's pretty obvious. But what if you're failing to climb the wall? Well, yeah, maybe you fall, but maybe you make too much noise and now they're alerted to your presence, right? So the GM reacts. So you as the player just need to roll these. But the more you do, the more chance that you're giving those fear tokens to the GM. So you don't want to just take like actions willy-nilly. There's this economy that's happening, and that's something that you don't find in D&D, to be honest.
And are these gems? There's lots of colors here. Do they?
Yeah, they're different trackers. So you use them as you see fit. So you can use them to reference different things, to put on cards, to be those hope and fear markers and things like that. If you don't have these, you can use any markers that you want to use. I've seen people use like the Othello chips that are like black on one side and white on the other.
I see. But so there's no colors assigned.
Not specifically, as long as you know what they are. So we have those, we have the dice, and the cards are really, for me, what makes the game. Because when you level up, in D&D, when you level up, it's this process. You have to go to the book. What level am I? I'm level 5. I get 2 more druid spells. What's a druid spell? I go look up the druid spells. I see this is like you have your deck of standby cards, and you're level 2. You can add some level 2 cards into your deck, into your tableau. Now you have those abilities in addition to the abilities you had before.
I do like the idea from a non-RPGer, the idea of having the tableau always in front of you, because I think when you played with more casual players, myself included, and I've tried to run a D&D campaign, it's easy for the uninitiated to forget all of the things, right? Like if they didn't do all the homework and they didn't know the system inside and out. But with cards, you're like, I mean, if nothing else, you could be reminded, like, will this help me right now?
Right.
And then the DM could say, oh yeah, that might
and
help.
They do make card decks like this for other RPGs, like D&D. You can buy some card decks, but these are like built into the game. They're so integral, in fact, that like they come, like when you buy the book, it comes with this tray, like a version of this tray with all the cards in it. And the number one thing, like when you're running D&D for the first time and you've got new players, especially if you're a new GM, the first thing they're going to ask every time it's their turn is, what can I do?
Yeah.
Like, what do I, And so you're right. This does help. You're going to have your, some of your stuff in your character sheet, but a lot of it's on this. And again, I'm a sucker for like the presentation of a game. The way this is like produced, the rules are easy to follow. There's not a ton of complicated processes. Even the GM screen is just like information and advice, not necessarily like table after table after table. So this is one that I would say for sure, if you're on the fence about RPGs, give this a try. Even if this book looks giant, you don't need to learn all of these rules to even run the game. You just need to read like the GM chapter and everything is broken down. And I just want to say that the graphic design in this book, it's incredible. It's so easy to read. Like there's so much space given to it.
It is a great looking product for sure.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're just being.
It does sound like.
And look at these nice premium.
Is it fair to say where you've taken out a lot of the math and whatnot?
I mean, it's
going to rely still a little bit more, maybe even on the players to really lean into the role.
For sure. And I think it encourages you to do that because, again, all of your stuff, you having all of your stuff right there, and it just reminds you too, if you're like a wander board, it kind of reminds you what that means. So you're like playing it, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. We encounter these. I'm a wander board.
Almost like prompts.
Almost like prompts.
To remind
That's a good way to say it.
Hey, remember who you are.
Remember who you are. Is that a Lion King reference?
Should be the tagline for this game, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously a huge fan of this game, and I should say, like, I paid for all this myself, so this is not a, they did not pay me for these opinions, because this
you bought this locally, right?
I did. I bought it from Valkyrie's Vault. They had a awesome launch party event.
Plug for Valkyrie's Vault.
It's a store here in Brownsburg, where I'm from. It's very close to my house, actually. Just that they had a nice little launch party where they got to do a how to play and teach the game, and they had it for sale and on display and everything, so it was fun to be part of that.
Are you going to be running a campaign?
I've been asked multiple times too.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting a group together. It just depends on how often it's going to be, but I cannot wait to play this one. And I will probably do more content on it if people seem to like it. Like, I would love to hear in the comments below if you're like, no RPGs ever. Like, I feel like we've talked about RPGs in a box, like board games that feature RPG. This is definitely an RPG that features more, I think, board game.
It's like the other end. It's not a board game that feels like an RPG. It's an RPG that feels like a board game.
Yeah, I love this, building this tableau and leveling up and getting. It's just such a satisfying way to play the game.
It does sound like a unique perspective and a unique take on the RPG experience. If you have any questions at all about it, please make them below. Ryan will answer them. I'm not going to answer anything. But Ryan will get down there and answer whatever he can. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.